Hi, it's time for another verb of the day. Today's verb is snack. Let's begin our discussion today by reviewing the definition of this verb. The verb snack really has just one meaning, and it is to eat a small amount of food between meals. For now, you should know that snack is a regular verb. If you want to make the progressive form of this verb, all you need to do is add ing, and that forms snacking. The past tense and the participle form of this verb can be made by adding ed. Our base verb, snack, ends in an unvoiced k sound. This means the ed ending is going to make a t sound. We're not going to add an extra syllable when we pronounce it. The past tense and the participle form of the verb should sound like this: snacked, snacked. Okay. Next, let's talk about a couple phrasal verbs you might encounter. The first is to snack down. This can mean that someone is eating a large quantity of food, especially things that tend to be heavily processed or maybe small in size and generally thought not to be very substantial, like very filling kinds of food. So here we might think of salty things, sweet things, etc. So an example of how we could hear this used in a sentence: the teen boys snacked countless sandwiches down after playing basketball. So here maybe we're thinking kind of white bread, deli meat. That might get to the processed kinds of food there. And judging by how much of it they're consuming, it must not be very filling for them. A second phrasal verb that you may encounter is to snack on. Again, its meaning really goes back to our first definition. So you're eating small amounts of something as that kind of filler between meals. An example of this could be: we've been snacking on nuts all morning long. So a little bit kind of here it's suggesting that's been continuing. Now we're going to do a focus on making more information, or WH questions today. And we're going to focus on making them in the simple future. And I thought we would start with just a quick review of how that is done. So for most questions of this nature, we are going to start with a question word, then we'll use will, then our subject, then a base verb, and possibly maybe other words to kind of fill in or give context to the question. If you are interested, you can kind of pause the video here and practice making several, but this is the general form you're going to see now as we practice making more questions. And again, I frequently call them more information with my students, because we cannot just say yes or no to these types of things. We are going to have to provide something else. You might also hear these referred to as open-ended. Again, the idea is you cannot just give a yes or a no. It's going to require additional information from the person to whom you are asking. Now let's take a look at making some sample questions with our verb of the day, snack. So the first kind of question we're going to talk about is a question about time. Frequently, we will use the word when. Okay, so an example of how we might hear this used, right? When will we snack? This is something that I feel like I've heard from children, right? You may also hear people ask, what time will we snack? That would have the same meaning as well. But when is most frequently used, again, to ask a question about either time as on a clock or time as a date. Another type of question we ask is about place. And we use the question word where, W-H-E-R-E for that. An example of this might be, where will we snack on chips, right? So maybe we want to know what location or where we're meeting for this little food break. Another type of question is one about the manner in which an action, in this case, will be done, since we're talking about the future. We use the question word how with it. So an example might be, how will they snack on anything after this huge meal? So maybe we've heard someone making plans for a snack, and someone's like, how could that be possible, right? We're so full. A fourth type of question you might encounter is about a reason, right? Trying to understand what is motivating a particular action. So here we use the question word why, W-H-Y. So an example of this, why did you snack on cookies? Right? And because they're good, might be the logical answer there. Finally, our last kind of question is if we're asking about a thing. This is sometimes called a determiner, and frequently we use what for that. So an example of this might be, what will the kids snack on during the road trip? Right? So here maybe one parent is asking the other, really kind of what plans have we made for little bits of food in between the meals. Now, all of those questions up until this point, so the first 5 in my notes here, all follow the pattern that we talked about. So question word, will, subject, base verb. My last kind of question is about the person responsible for a particular action. So for this kind of question, we're going to use the word who, W-H-O. Now, who is kind of interesting here because it's both a question word and the subject. So what you'll notice here is we have who, we have will, and then we have our base verb. So there is no stated subject or other we, they, you, he, she, it kind of subject. So an example of this, who will snack on all this food, right? We want to know maybe like, who is all of this for? Now, let's spend a moment looking at some words that are related to our verb snack. And the first word we're going to talk about is the noun form of this word. The noun snack has the exact same spelling and the exact same pronunciation as our verb. When I use this word as a noun, most commonly, you're going to hear people describing a small amount of food that is eaten between their meals. An example of this in a sentence could be, the kids love to have an after-school snack. So this would likely be food eaten between lunch and dinner. A second way, though, to use the noun snack is a bit of slang. I think it's a more recent meaning or usage, but it might be used to describe somebody that others find attractive. So you might hear a character in a movie or a TV show say or describe someone in this way. He's a total snack. And so they're sort of expressing their interest in that individual. Another noun you might encounter is a snack bar. This is generally a place where snacks are sold. An example of this, I worked at a poolside snack bar while I was in high school. True sentence for me. I spent 3 summers and we had, oh goodness, candy and chips and nachos and ice cream and other things there that many people enjoyed kind of in between meals they may have eaten at home while they were out enjoying some summer fun at a pool. Thanks to everyone who's watched today's video. I hope you all have a great day.